quotes, infused with the scent of potpourri, films we commit to memory. Crossing the felt ropes, watching from home on my TV, looking at all my eyes can see. They tell me I view obsessively.
Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer, a weekly podcast reviewing 2 new or recent released titles every episode with an occasional free-for-all segment at the end that we call Potpourri. I'm one of your hosts, Matt Hurt, and you can find more of my work, including my written reviews, full episode show notes, and the complete backlog of our episodes and spin-off podcasts at obsessiveviewer.com. You can also follow me on Letterboxd and other social media platforms at the username of Obsessive Viewer. And if you'd like to support us and get access to hundreds of exclusive episodes, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. There we have a whole bunch of stuff for your perusal, including live streams and episode reviews. Welcome to Dairy. I reviewed the first episode, and I'm going to be reviewing more episodes as I am able to watch them and everything. Okay, great. Yeah, the chat did go through from I assume you did that on YouTube, Tiny?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, that's my wife logged in as me.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Okay. Okay, so yeah, back to the spiel. I'm also doing the Long Walk Along project. I still have 5 episodes out, 2 more to go, where I'm walking trails around Indianapolis, and then recording my thoughts as I record my thoughts on the chapters I listen to of The Long Walk by Stephen King. I also have a bunch of immediate reactions. You can find all that stuff at YouTube or Patreon, patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. And if you want to support the show without messing around with Patreon or just want to make just a single donation, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/obsessiveviewer and make a donation there. So tonight on the show, later in the show, I'll be reviewing Ben Leonberg's supernatural horror film Good Boy in this week's secondary review. But before that, we're going to go over some movie news and Indianapolis screenings and events before reviewing the conclusion to the epic Wicked saga from Jon M. Wicked for Good, in this week's feature review. And joining me this week is a man who needs no introduction, is my co-host, who can be followed on Letterboxd at the handle of Obsessive Tiny. It's Tiny. Hello, Tiny. Welcome back. How's it going?
It's going great, man. Thanks for having me back.
Nice.
Got some new location.
Yes.
New equip.
Yes.
It's pretty excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to talk to you about anything, but I'm also very excited about the new equip, the new location, and everything. For the listeners, Tiny and his wife just bought a new house, so they are all signed in. They're all settled in. There we go. The new Tiny studio. I don't know.
It's actually pretty big.
Nice. It is. It is a very nice house.
Compared to my last one.
Yeah. It is a very nice house. And you can see Tiny's area right now. If you are watching the live stream, then you can triangulate his location and, go spend some time with him.
Thanks for sharing that with the world.
Yeah, of course. I've spent many a nights just sleeping in your backyard. Without you knowing. Anyway, so like I said, we're going to be reviewing some movies tonight. On the chat in the live stream on Patreon, Paige, not your wife, said, "No, stop, the imposed faces took me out." So the video version of this will have an intro where you can see that I did some dumb things, as I usually do. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, but before we get to all of the reviews and all the fun and shenanigans and everything, Tiny, do you want me to go over some things that are happening in Indianapolis this week in the film world?
Go for it.
All right, so I've got a couple of things, as I usually do over at Alamo Drafthouse. I will mention that the movie trivia is still rolling around from my friend Lou Harry from the IFJ. He hosts a movie trivia event every first and third Sunday of the month over at Alamo Drafthouse on Lafayette Road. It's a blast. It's really fun. Obviously there's not going to be one. I don't think there might be one this week. I don't know. Anyway, the next one that I'm maybe going to is December 5th, if that's a Sunday. So that is the first and third Sunday of every month. And then this Thanksgiving weekend at Alamo Drafthouse, they are screening Greta Gerwig's Little Women and Christmas Vacation. And on Saturday, they're showing Lethal Weapon. So check that out at Alamo Drafthouse. And over at the Can this week, they are opening J. Kelly, Sentimental Value, and Rental Family. Rental Family I saw at Heartland, and I thought it had its moments. Brendan Fraser, he's great. So that's what's going on around Indy. Any of those things pique your interest, Tiny?
Yeah, for sure. I love going to the Alamo Draft House. I've only been there a couple times, but I need to make a better effort to go out there more.
Oh yeah. So do I, honestly. That and the Can. I love the Can and Alamo. Yeah, they're also going to be showing I think the first weekend of December, they're showing the Kill Bill, the whole bloody affair.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's tempting, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Long.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There were people that, and no shade to any of them, but there were people who went to the Wicked 2 movie thing. Like, I know that, so I'll say, I can't imagine doing that, but also, I think I did that with one of the Avengers movies, like Age of Ultron. They showed Avengers and Age of Ultron back to back, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have much in terms of news, but I do want to mention really quick that earlier today it was announced that that Scarlett Johansson is going to star in the Exorcist reboot, I guess we would call it, from Blumhouse, that is written, directed, and produced by Mike Flanagan. Don't know anything else about it aside from what Flanagan has already said, him saying that it's going to be a radical new take on it. So I don't know. I have faith in him, but I don't really care about the Exorcist franchise. But ScarJo is a good get. So
yeah, for sure. And that sounds intriguing because Flanagan all the way. I feel like that franchise hasn't been beat to death either. That's pardon the pun.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone gets. I'm not super familiar with the movies, but there's only two movies. Are there any?
There's like 4 or 5. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I think there's 5, and then the one from Blumhouse a couple of years ago that just was terrible. From David Gordon Green.
That was not on my radar. I didn't even know that came out.
Oh, wow. Okay, so let me talk about it just a little bit really quick.
Yeah.
So there's The Exorcist, Exorcist 2 Heretic, and then Exorcist 3. And then you've got these 2 weird prequel movies that were kind of made in tandem, Dominion and something else. But they tell similar stories. And then I think it was dormant for a while, and then Blumhouse brought on David Gordon Green to reboot it in a trilogy. It came out with The Exorcist Believer, and then that kind of ate shit, and they just decided to scrap that planned trilogy, and then Flanagan was like, "Hey, I'll do it. I'll do a new one." So. Yeah.
Yeah, The Exorcist Believer had no clue that even came out. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's not very memorable. Not at all.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Wow. Never mind then. Okay, he shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. So that is all I've got for news, really, because we're on a tight schedule. Tiny, do you want to get to our feature review of the evening, which is For Wicked for Good?
I am so ready.
Nice. All right. So, of course, we're going to do a non-spoiler review followed by a spoiler review. when we go into spoilers, I'll play a clip from the trailer, and that'll differentiate or separate the non-spoiler from spoiler review. And if you're listening after the fact or watching after the fact, check the show notes or description for timestamps to navigate around it if you don't want to be spoiled. But that is the intro to our Wicked for Good non-spoiler review. It is currently in theaters, was released in theaters November 21st, 2025, and the premise, according to IMDb, is Elphaba, the future Wicked Witch of the West, and her relationship with Glinda, the Good Witch of the North. That's it. And the second of a two-part feature film adaptation of the Broadway musical. So the movie's directed by Jon M. Writers are, it's based on the musical stage play with music and lyrics by Stephen Schwartz, and based on the book by Winnie Holzman, and from the novel by Gregory Maguire, and the actual screenplay was written by Winnie Holzman and Dana Fox. So, also, the cast, Jesus, includes Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, Jeff Goldblum, Michelle Yeoh, Jonathan Bailey, Ethan Slater, Marissa Bode, and Coleman Domingo. So, Tiny, let's get into our non-spoiler review for Wicked for Good. You just recently saw the first Wicked. Do you want to talk about how you felt about that movie, and then we can dive into our thoughts on For Good?
Absolutely, yeah. I had just, for whatever reason, not seen Wicked, and it was totally on my radar. It was on everyone's radar. It was a huge movie. Heard positive things and definitely wanted to see it. I really like musicals.
Mm-hmm.
So I finally just watched it. Paige and I watched it a couple weeks ago for the first time, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I don't think it would have made my top 10 last year or anything like that. I think it had some good storytelling qualities. I feel like the first act, especially the setup, like before they get to Shiz, is a little bumpy and just kind of it's kind of a jump start into it, and it's a little clunky. But once they get there and the characters develop more and we get into more of the relationships, I thought it was a really compelling story and I liked it a lot. So many great things to point at, but to me, what really stands out are the costumes are fantastic, really well done. I like some of the sets and everything. There's not like, obviously there's a bunch of CGI, but it doesn't feel like it. It still feels pretty grounded in that regard. But then of course you have to talk about the music. I think it's just okay. Defying Gravity and Popular are bangers, right? Those are classic songs. Yes. They're fantastic. I really like those. But most of the other songs just didn't really track for me. Not that they're bad. I just personally didn't connect to them. So, but really compelling story, and it's fun to be in the universe. The Land of Oz is totally crazy place to be and just really entertaining. So, I definitely liked the first one. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I remember liking the first one. I reviewed it last year, I believe, and I enjoyed it. I was surprised how much it made me obviously want to go and watch the original Wizard of Oz and just kind of dive into that world. Unfortunately, I didn't, and I didn't get a chance to rewatch part one before I saw For Good. But it still makes me want to just kind of watch Wizard of Oz and kind of get back into that world a little bit. But I really enjoyed the first one, and I thought it was interesting, similar to what you said. I thought it was an interesting way to just kind of expand on the story of Wizard of Oz in a backstory filling way, which is what any prequel will do well. So going into Wicked for Good, I didn't know exactly what to expect. I had some ideas of what I was going to get into, or what it was going to get into, but I didn't really expect it to take some turns that it ended up taking, and we'll talk about that. But I do agree that Defying Gravity and Popular are absolute incredible songs. I also, just to kind of dive into the broad strokes of our thoughts on the non-spoiler review of Wicked for Good, aside from the titular For Good track song, I don't think that there was anything that really blew my hair back in terms of the music in Wicked for Good, which is a shame, but that's by no means something that negatively affected my my experience watching it. It wasn't as memorable. There were other things that kind of negatively affected my viewing of it, but we'll get into that. But overall, what did you think of Wicked for Good, Tiny?
I kind of thought it was okay. I thought it was a step back from the first one. There's some entertaining kind of politics involved in it, and propaganda and all that, and that's actually pretty entertaining, and I like exploring that in a fantasy world. I think that's kind of fun, and I think they did it to pretty decent effect in this movie. So I like that, and it kind of started in the first one, of course, but I think they really explored it more in this second film. And yeah, I hate to say it, but like without the two powerhouse songs of Popular and Defying Gravity, I feel like the music didn't really jump out. It jumped out even less to me, which is really a bummer. Not to say there's bad songs.
Right.
The one I want to say it's Wonderful, maybe, where they're with the wizard, Jeff Goldblum having fun with that. That was fun to watch. There's one about it may just be called For Good, where they're talking about like the theme of the song is Because I Knew You, I'm Changed.
Yeah.
I just love the sense.
I think. Yeah.
That's For Good. Okay, I couldn't. Yeah, should have looked up the soundtrack a little closer.
Well, as far as like a big showstopper finishing song like that's I would say it's maybe not on par with Popular or Defying Gravity, but it's a good way to kind of like a good finishing song.
It is. Yeah. I just love the sentiment of it. That actually struck me pretty emotionally. I like that. That was well done. And the costumes are good, and there's still some good set work and some really cool world building in there. But ultimately, I feel like it was kind of messy. And it comes down to structure and some of the directions that it takes. It feels like it's funny because they had, between the first movie and this one, they had like 5 hours to tell this story.
Yeah,
5.5 even. And this felt kind of rushed, at least, second and third act, maybe just kind of rushed, which is crazy with the runtime they had.
Yeah, it does. It does rush a lot of some specific plot lines feel a bit rushed in the end, which was my big hang up of the movie, honestly, but we'll talk about that later.
Gotcha. Yeah. There was also a really cool sequence where they use mirrors. There's a musical sequence with Ariana Grande that I thought was really cool camera work, and I'm sure there's CGI in there, but it didn't. Again, one thing about the CGI in both of these movies, I think I said it earlier. It doesn't like they're not like bombarding you with it. It doesn't feel like it's this completely virtual CGI world.
Right.
It feels like there's still some grounded practical effects that are real. It still feels real. It feels like an actual place.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing that I think carried over from the first movie as well. The thing that I was really struck by in terms of the visuals of the set design and everything was that it feels like at times it kind of feels like a painted stage production. But it's shown on film and shown through the screen of a film. It kind of creates this not animated sort of thing. It kind of, honestly, it harkens back to the original Wizard of Oz, like that kind of vibrant, colorful landscape, enhanced by some CGI and some backdrops and everything. But the melding of that together to create the kind of visceral like world of Oz and all of these little places that they're in and everything is really, really visually stunning, honestly. Which I enjoyed that aspect of it. I think it's a very pretty movie.
Totally. Yeah. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it in my brief summation of the first movie, but I really enjoyed both Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. Most of the casting, actually, I think it's good casting, and the performances are great. To me, the standout is actually Ariana Grande. I've never seen her, I don't think, in anything other than this. She was kind of big on Nickelodeon and stuff like that. And obviously I didn't watch that. So yeah, I'd never really seen her act, maybe a couple skits on SNL and stuff like that, but that's really it. And just the kind of popular girl, she just like hit it out of the park. And to great comedic effect. I mean, I was audibly laughing at her several times. And not to take anything away from Cynthia Erivo, though. She totally nailed that. She's this, serious character, but she can play in the fun world and have fun with things, and I mean, can totally hold her own with Ariana Grande. But to me, Ariana Grande kind of stuck out, and I liked everybody else too. Jeff Goldblum, perfect role for him.
Oh yeah.
Michelle Yeoh, I think, was a little out of her element. I mean, she can't really sing. Sorry.
Sure.
But she's a great actor. So
yeah, and I think that with her role, I understand the motivation of that character. I understand the purpose of that character being the kind of more outward villain of the movie, but it also just felt like that element of it was a little bit rushed too. It just felt a little bit like, okay. And granted, this is maybe my fault for not going to the 5.5 hour screening of both movies back to back, or not revisiting the first one, but it just felt like the first movie ends, and then this is the second act of the production, I believe. And it just seems like it is a quick run toward the big finale of the movie. It just feels like it's quickly getting from like, oh, she is the Wicked Witch of the East, and like all of Oz is turned against her. It just felt like there wasn't enough time to kind of breathe, or to kind of like settle in with that, because it feels like immediately from the end of the first movie, it just feels like, okay, now this is set in place. Now we're going to start again. Oh, they're creating the Yellow Brick Road and everything. And I don't know, there was just a sense for me throughout the movie that it just felt like time wasn't passing the way that I think it was supposed to be passing for me. It just felt like everything was kind of happening over the course of several days, when I feel like, given the way the plot went, it felt like it should have been more communicated to me if it was intended to be like, oh, months go by with all of this. Then I think that would have made a lot more sense and would have maybe made me enjoy it a little bit more. But it just felt like everything kind of just happened over the course of a week or two.
Yeah, the timeline was a little unclear. I agree with that.
Yeah. Anything else about performances? Oh, Ethan Slater. I think I was just kind of okay with him in the first movie. But this one, he kind of really came into his own. Obviously, with the plot going the way that it does, he gets a little bit more to do. He gets more range to show. And I think he did a good job. He was solid. He was solid.
He was solid. Yeah. Has he been in really much else? I'm not sure if I recognize him.
Don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know him from anything else really, but yeah.
Okay. Bowen Yang, I thought was pretty dang funny in the first one, and they barely used him in the second one. It's kind of a shame.
Yeah,
he's really funny.
He is, and I forgot that he was even in the movie. Honestly,
I know. Yeah, he had like a couple lines in the whole thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I should have asked this before. What did you think of the original Wizard of Oz?
It's just such a classic,
Mhm.
and what's great about that is the music is fantastic. Like
Mhm.
it's some of the best music ever made, right?
Yeah.
Everyone knows Somewhere Over the Rainbow,
Mhm.
and God, I love the original. I haven't seen
Mhm.
it in years.
Yeah, me neither. I need
Yeah,
to.
but when we were kids, we used to watch it all the time.
Nice.
It's a great movie, and there's so much lore around it, and
Mhm.
it's just this classic. I should rewatch it, but speaking of
Yeah.
the original, have you seen clips or anything from the Sphere in Vegas where they showed the Wizard of Oz?
No.
Oh
I
man,
haven't.
are you aware of the Sphere and like how it works?
I I'm aware of it. I think that and I'm aware that they were showing Wizard of Oz, but I know that they kind of altered it to make it spherable. Um
Right.
and like that rubs me the wrong way because it's doing like it's just it feels wrong in a way to alter it in whatever way that they do. But I haven't read up too much about it. But anyway, yeah.
I get that. I get what you're saying. I don't think you're wrong.
Mm,
Because I think it depends on the movie, right? I
mm,
think if you're going to take a movie like T2 The Terminator
mm,
and adapt it to the Sphere, I think that makes sense. Big action movie. But yeah, classics like that, yeah, like if you did that to Seven Samurai, it's like,
mm.
whoa, pump the brakes, you
Right,
know.
right.
Um, but the clips of it look so cool.
Mm.
Like you're like inside the tornado,
Okay.
and it's like an interactive experience. So they actually like it's like a sensory experience. So they like have
Mm.
these giant fans that turn on, and your like hair
Oh
is blowing
yeah.
in the wind, and they throw fake leaves in them, so you're getting hit in the face with leaves and
Mm,
shit. And like, I mean, that's just cool. And like, they like sprinkle I don't know if it's rose petals or like poppy petals
mm.
on people when they're in the poppy field and stuff like that. It just
Okay.
looked really, really cool. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I mean,
Interesting.
I will probably never see a movie there, but
Right, right.
I think it's just cool that they can do something like that. And
Yeah.
I don't. For sure a traditionalist when it comes to
Mm.
movies. I don't think movies need a gimmick.
Yeah.
I don't think theaters need a gimmick. I don't think you need to be interacted with. I think the visuals are enough to
Mm.
go on a journey. Um, but that just looked so cool. I
Yeah.
mean, if something's cool, I'll try it out. And it's
Yeah. That's
yeah,
totally fair. And like I do think the idea of seeing a movie there, whatever it is, I think would be really interesting. And I would absolutely be down for it. So if anyone wants to, fund our adventure to go to the Sphere in Vegas, please do. Um,
for sure.
buymeacoffee.com/obsessiveviewer. But yeah, so performances, visuals, I feel like we're gonna have to kind of dance around the spoilers a little bit. Is there anything else we can talk about in non-spoilers that you would want to that we should touch on in this movie?
I think we pretty well covered it. Yeah, I
I
think
think
we
so too.
talked about everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then are you ready to go into spoilers for Wicked for Good?
Well, let's do it.
All right, we are going to go ahead and go into spoilers for Wicked for Good. So check the show notes and description and everything for timestamps after the fact if you don't want to be spoiled. But we're going to be spoiling Wicked for Good when we come back from this clip from the trailer. So stay tuned.
The Wicked Witch can't elude us forever. Not with Prince Fiero and his squadron hot on her trail.
No good deed goes unpunished. That's my creed.
The wonderful Wizard of Oz. No one believed in you more than I did.
Elphaba. They're coming for you.
Okay, well, that is a clip from the trailer for Wicked for Good. Again, it is in theaters now. We're going to be spoiling Wicked for Good. Yeah, where do you want to begin, Tiny? Yeah.
I think the kind of elephant in the room is how does it weave into the first movie, you
Mhm.
know? And I I wasn't even sure how much it was going to do that. I wasn't sure if this was like, because I've never seen the Broadway play, never
Right.
saw it. I thought it might be a true like prequel. It leads right up to the events of, maybe this movie would end with the house from Kansas falling on
That's
the
what
Wicked Witch of
I
the East.
thought.
Yeah, that's what I thought it would be. Spoilers, it's not.
Right.
That happens like right before the third act.
Mhm.
And so I think it was sort of interesting to see how they wove it in, and it was okay. But I felt like it was just a little bit shoehorned in, kind of like they tried a little too hard to weave it into that. But I thought the ending was kind of cool though, like the way it sort of retcons the original movie a little bit. I was fine with that. I thought I liked that creative choice, and I ultimately liked what they did storytelling wise. I just thought the method and the details were a little bit clunky and a little goofy. I'm not sure how did you feel about that?
I felt the same way. I don't think I really liked the way that it retconned things like that.
Okay.
That was my big sticking point, and I kind of alluded to it in the non-spoiler review. But basically, it feels like the movie, the whole story, basically. When we get to that end run where we get like, oh, the tornado, the house, Dorothy, all of that. It feels like there's a lot of work being done to just not glaze over the Wizard of Oz story, because you can't really, like, that's not the story this movie's telling. And I totally understand that, respect that, and everything. But my memory of the Wizard of Oz, and this could be completely wrong because I haven't seen it in a long time, but the whimsy, the whimsicalness, the strangeness of Oz feels very baked in. It feels very, in the original Wizard of Oz, my memory of it feels like a lived in place. And so much so to the point where, like, the Scarecrow, the Cowardly Lion, the Tin Man, they feel like they've been, again, my memory, it could be wrong, but it feels like they have been suffering, like, without a brain, without courage, without a heart for a long time. It feels like they've been this way for a long time. Here, because the movie doesn't really give me enough of a timeline to really follow, it feels like, oh, okay, I like that we get the backstory of the Tin Man and the Scarecrow. I like that we get, we know these characters now once they turn over to what they are in Wizard of Oz. That's really interesting. That's really cool. But it also feels like, okay, a couple days later, they're like, they see the wizard and everything's all good. Like, it just feels like it feels like it's not necessarily cheapening the original, but it just feels like it should have been a little bit more, a little bit richer with them as those characters, with those specific drives. Because if I were to go back and watch it again and then watch Wizard of Oz, would I feel like as connected to the Scarecrow and Tin Man as I would if I hadn't seen Wicked? Because I just assumed that they had been hanging out there for a long time.
Right.
So that was basically my big issue with the movie, was that it just felt like all of the Wizard of Oz stuff just felt very just rushed. And yeah, it didn't sit right with me. Yeah.
That's a totally fair point. And I feel like the Tin Man especially is like really dark. Like
yeah. He does a whole
like,
January 6th thing.
Right. Yeah, like it's really dark and like I don't have an issue with that necessarily, but he's so goofy and aloof in because he doesn't have a brain. He's an idiot, right? He's just kind of stumbling around, an idiot in the original Wizard of Oz, and that's fun and whimsical, to use your word, which is a great word. And he's just not that at all. Like totally opposite in this movie, and it's like, okay, he's sitting there like you said, like rallying a J6 event
Yeah.
in the town square in Oz, and then a few minutes later he's like, if I only had a brain, it's like
Right.
being goofy and bouncing off
Mm.
the walls and making a fun song. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, so I think
Point-
you're right, actually. Now
Yeah.
that I hear you say that,
Point of order, though, Tin Man had the heart. Scarecrow
heart?
had the brain. Yeah.
It's been so long since I've seen it.
Oh, yeah. Because
That's right. Heart,
in
yeah.
Wicked for Good, like that was one of the things that I really liked about it was like, oh, the way that he loses his heart is because of a whole botched like spell that was cast, and it was like that hectic, frantic, chaotic thing was really good. And then you kind of go over to like the Scarecrow of it all. Like it just really glosses over anything about him losing his brain. Like it just feels like very glossed over, very much like not a part of the story. And it felt cheap because that's such an iconic part of the Wizard of Oz. I don't know why that's not baked into the story in Wicked. So
yeah, I think you're right. Now that I think about it more and hear you say that, I think you're right. It is kind of I think the part of retconning that I liked was the end, where, spoiler alert, she doesn't actually die by getting the water tossed on her. And, because this is such a, ultimately, I think, The Wizard of Oz is a kid's movie for me. If you look at it on the face of it, look at it on paper, it's like there's a wicked witch and like a good witch, and like there's kind of some adult themes going on here, and it's kind of maybe not for kids, but I just kind of grew up with the movie, right? And I remember it as a kid, right? So I see this as a kid's story. And to take this character, Elphaba, that has a good character, like she's not evil. She's not a wicked witch. It's just propaganda. And so to have her actually die at the end, like as an adult, as a 39-year-old man sitting here, I'm like, that's kind of badass that she like sacrificed herself for the good of Oz and all that. That's cool, but like a kid doesn't understand that, and a kid's like, oh, she died. That's messed up, or a kid would be sad about it, and so I can see it from both perspectives, I guess. Ultimately, I kind of appreciate that it's a little more kid-friendly in that regard, and that, she doesn't die, and she gets to kind of live happily ever after with her true love and all that stuff. And
I did like that. I did think that was well done. I hadn't really considered the idea of her surviving until it happened in the movie, and I do appreciate that. I think that gives an interesting bend to the lore of Oz. I also, just sidetrack basically. I saw this really great tweet or something. It was like, I think it might have been a thread. I'm not sure, but it said, if you loved Wicked, you should definitely check out the prequel on HBO called Oz.
Oof.
Which
that's totally a kid's show. Yeah.
Yes. Oh yes. But yeah, I enjoyed this movie for what it was, and it's something that, having not seen the Broadway production and not really being familiar with it, I was kind of annoyed at myself last year because, like, when reading and preparing for my review of Wicked Part 1, like, I just stumbled upon just the fact that, like, Jonathan Bailey becomes the Scarecrow, and Ethan Slater becomes the Tin Man, and like, at that point I was like, oh, I didn't really consider that. I thought that it was just going to be strictly a prequel, and I was very interested in how that would come into play, but I kind of wish I was left a little surprised. But despite that, yeah, I think that the way that the Tin Man happens is not necessarily the high point of the movie for me, but it's kind of up there, honestly, because I think that he has of the characters, he has the best, like, characterization going for him, especially with just the heart of it all. So
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I think you're right. Yeah.
Now that's not condoning the actions of the Oz shaman, and I don't agree with the wizard pardoning all of those all of those rioters, but what are you gonna do? So yeah. Anyway, anything else in spoilers for Wicked for Good? I feel like that's like slight. I feel like we didn't really talk that much about it, but yeah.
Yeah,
Any other thoughts?
one other thing, such a big plot point is the whole conspiracy against the animal community.
Yes, we didn't even talk about that. Yeah. Yeah. What did you think of it?
Well, it comes up like in the first act. Elphaba stumbles upon the animals trying to essentially leave Oz as a realm. I guess I don't really know what the terminology would be. And I feel like it's it just pops up a couple other times. But like, the fact that they basically stampede the wedding, I was like, hell yeah, that's kind of cool. And,
Yeah.
the wizard kind of gets his ass kicked by the animals a little bit, and so like that was all good. But I feel like that subplot was just like way on the back burner. Like, I don't know. Again, it did pop up a few times, and it was relevant, but I don't know. It just I kind of wanted to see a little more of that. But in an already pretty busy movie, I don't know where the hell they would have squeezed it in. We would have been hitting, a 3-hour runtime if it would have given that more time. So
absolutely, and the way that it just the way that that's introduced in the first movie, I thought it was compelling. It was something that I wasn't considering going into the first movie. Like, I didn't know that was going to be part of the story at all, and I feel like what we got in this one, while it is kind of not slight, but it isn't as focal, as much of a focal point as I would have liked it to be. I do think there's some interesting, like, commentary there. There's some interesting historical commentary and stuff, like very kind of Underground Railroad sort of stuff, and also with the state of the world today, with like forced deportations and things like that, like fleeing a place that is your home because it's perceived that you're not welcome there. It's very tragic and sad and horrifying. So I'm glad that the movie does touch on that, even if it does kind of just lead to a point where it's like, oh, okay, well, Elphaba and Scarecrow. Oh my God, Jonathan Bailey. I can't remember the character's name. I'm so sorry. Fiera, yeah. Are they're exiled, and like, okay, well, I mean, they're happy. It's a happily ever after and everything, but it's like, man, it kind of sucks for them. Like, it's sad, in a way, but I don't know.
Yeah,
they have each other.
I get that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, go ahead.
So there's also the kind of the big, I guess it's a plot twist really, where Elphaba is the wizard's daughter.
Yeah, I felt that was a little anticlimactic, a little bit.
Yeah. And like I wasn't I didn't see it coming, like but I also wasn't like, oh shit, like I wasn't like shocked. I didn't get Shyamalan,
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a fun little detail of the movie,
Sure.
but it didn't seem super relevant, I guess. They could have done more with it.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of seeded in the first one, because there's that kind of, I don't know if it's the opening shot, but like it's an early scene with them with the drink or whatever, and
Right.
like that's a good way to kind of see that. And I just feel like having it be something that he realizes after the fact, after the Wicked Witch is quote unquote dead and gone, it just feels like, where's their reconciling that? Where is their moment where they're confronted with that fact together? Like, I kind of wish that there was something between them on that front, like no, I am your father kind of thing. Like, because that's a great place for drama, but it just kind of just is something that's kind of an afterthought a little bit. So
Yeah, it is. I think it could have been done a little better in my book, but
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why we're going to work on a new Wicked book. That is the plan. We're going to, well, you're going to do it. I've got too much going on. Sleeping in your backyard without you knowing.
Do you think they're gonna make like expand the like in 5 years they're gonna be like, oh, like a backstory somewhere in Oz?
That's a really interesting question. I don't think so, because I feel like Wicked, as well as, well, obviously the Wizard of Oz is iconic. It is like iconic in every sense of the term. But I feel like Wicked itself has had its, like, it is a massive thing. Like, it's been popular for 20 years or so, whenever it's first started. Like, this is a property that's been huge, and on that front, I don't think that this might be a little incongruous or a little strange to say, but I feel like because of that, because of it having that stature, like on Broadway and now in film, I don't feel like that is something that they are going to want to turn around something else, like create something else in that universe. I think that this is an adaptation of the Broadway musical, and that's where it's going to kind of stay. I don't think there's going to be anything new written. Maybe in the last 20 years there has been something. Maybe there's a whole other Wicked universe production that's been in production that I'm just unaware of. But I think I don't know. If anything, it's has already and will probably spark renewed interest in Broadway, and also the original Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I don't know that we need it. I mean, I just think
Yeah.
Oz is a cool universe. And there's tons of opportunity to tell more stories there. I just could see both a creative person and the studio, whoever owns the rights, being like, ooh, money grab, name recognition, let's do this. I don't need it as a fan or as a, as an audience member. I don't need it. But if it came out, I'd be interested, especially like I think maybe a TV show could be kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
That was a little bit on the darker side.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
well,
even not
like I said,
not a musical.
Oz on HBO. There you go.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about world building.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So I think that's our review of Oz or Wicked for Good. Jesus. Any other thoughts on the movie before we close out this review?
Just to say it, because I don't think I did. I think I gave it 2.5 stars. That's what I gave it.
Yeah. So did I. Yeah. Which I feel kind of not guilty about, but I feel kind of bad about, because I think I rated the first one like 3 stars. Because I did enjoy it. So
yeah.
But this just wasn't exactly what I was expecting, because I also thought that, it's going to end with, the house crushing her and Dorothy coming out and everything, which also I forgot that it was the Wicked Witch's sister that got crushed. I, for the entire time, both of these movies, the entire time, I was thinking, it's going to be, for some reason I thought, it's Glinda that gets crushed. Like, she's going to die.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Which doesn't make sense, obviously, but it's just something that I thought of. But yeah, I thought it was something. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, we both rated it 2.5 stars on Letterboxd, and Tiny, you're going to go away. Because you have a heart out. Yeah. What do you have any parting thoughts before we end it all?
Just great to be back. It's been a long time since we recorded, and
it has been.
Yeah, I think maybe we got some Tower Junkie stuff in the pipeline, maybe?
Yes. I still need to watch the second episode of it, Welcome to Derry, but as soon as I do, and as soon as we both watch it, we're going to do episode reviews on Tower Junkies. Yes.
Word. That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that. So.
Same here. Okay, so peek behind the curtain. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, but I'm not sure how this is going to affect the live streams. So we're going to end the live stream so that Tiny can go and his video can upload. And then I'm going to try to come back. Or maybe not. No, let's just do this. Tiny, if
Okay.
you click leave.
Okay.
And I guess maybe leave studio. Is that like if you hover over leave on your thing, what does it pop up and say?
Nothing.
Okay. So if you leave, it'll take you to the like staging area of Riverside, and it will tell you that, oh, okay, uploading video. Please, dear God, wait until it says it's completed.
Okay.
And then maybe if you can, just leave it open for a little bit longer after that, just to be safe.
Sure. I can do that.
Okay, sweet.
Cool.
Okay. And Paige, not your wife, Paige, said, "Bye, Tiny. Have a good holiday."
Oh, thanks a lot. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. All the times. I should have put a picture of us at the movie, but I didn't. I just used our heads. So.
Oh yeah, that was classic. By the way, I'm glad I
Yeah.
got to be the good witch.
Oh yeah, well of course.
Cool.
All right. Well, we're gonna bid adieu to Tiny, and then we're gonna go into the secondary review, and then I'm probably gonna round it out with some potpourri as well. So Tiny, thank you so much for joining me on this episode, and can't wait to chat with you more and stuff. Like I don't know, like
For sure. Yeah. Good
Yes.
times, man.
Yes, good times. All right.
All right.
Goodbye, Tiny. Please leave
Bye,
it open.
everybody. Will do.
All right. Bye. Okay, and now it is just me, and I'm going to discreetly check and see if that worked. So I get really like nervous about Riverside. Because it's still new and everything. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get right into the secondary review. But before that, I want to take a quick moment to remind you that if you like the show, please take a moment to follow us on social media and subscribe to and rate the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, or whatever your preferred podcast app is. And don't forget to subscribe to the Obsessive Viewer Podcast YouTube channel as well, where I have more videos and video versions of the podcast after its review or after it's done. And I'm just making more of a drive to do more video content as well as doing more live streams like this. So that's why it's maybe a little wonky and still working out the kinks. But that is over at YouTube, Obsessive Viewer Podcasts, and also check out Patreon, patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. And if you're interested in starting a podcast of your own, you can go to Libsyn and use the promo code OBSESS. When you sign up for a new account, you'll get up to 2 months free, depending on when you sign up, and we'll get a commission on it as well. More details on that are in the show notes of this episode. And now back to the show.
Looking at all my eyes can see, they tell me I view obsessively.
All right. And for tonight's secondary review, I'm going to share my non-spoiler thoughts on Good Boy. So first I'm going to talk about some of the Tiny said something. Nice. Great to be on the episode. Thanks, everyone. I forgot that I could show these comments from YouTube on here. So anyway, thank you, Tiny. But yeah, so the secondary review is for Good Boy. I'm going to share my thoughts on, or I'm going to share some information about it. Then I'll play a clip from the trailer, and then I'll give my non-spoiler thoughts on Good Boy. Good Boy is currently streamable on Shudder. It was released on Shudder on November 21st. Had a theatrical run, I think, late summer. Or maybe middle of summer, but the plot summary, wow, the plot summary, according to IMDb, is a loyal dog moves to a rural family home with his owner, only to discover supernatural forces lurking in the shadows. As dark entities threaten his human companion, the brave pup must fight to protect the one he loves most. Director for this movie was Ben Leonberg, and writers were Alex Cannon and Ben Leonberg. And the film stars Indy as Indy, the dog. Shane Jensen as Todd, Ariel Friedman as Vera, and Larry Fassenden and Stuart Rudin are to round out the cast. So I'm going to play a clip from the trailer. When I come back, I'm going to share my non-spoiler thoughts on Good Boy, which is streaming on Shudder. Okay, so Good Boy is a very unique horror movie, extremely unique. It is something that it's kind of interesting to see this kind of trend in horror these days. I say these days, but this kind of growing trend with unique perspectives in horror movies. So this is a movie that's told from the point of view of this dog, Indy, and it's similar, it's reminiscent to me of like last year's In a Violent Nature, which is the slasher movie that's from the perspective of a Jason-esque killer, supernatural killer. And even earlier this year, the Steven Soderbergh movie Presence is very similar to this in the fact that that is a ghost haunted house story that is from the perspective of the ghost, the entity that's haunting the house. And I find this kind of trend to be so interesting and compelling, much more so than that kind of trend of the screen life movies that have come about, like Missing and Searching. And I think there was one this year that I can't even remember. I think I even reviewed it. What was that? Anyway, there's just these screen life movies that don't really do it for me, but these different perspective horror movies are really, really compelling. And this movie is maybe my favorite of this kind of, I don't want to call it a trend, but it's my favorite of this style of unique perspective horror movies, of the three that I gave examples of. So Presence, In a Violent Nature, and now Good Boy. Good Boy is maybe my favorite of it. I rated it 4 stars on Letterboxd. This is a very, at times, heartbreaking and very gloomy sort of supernatural horror movie. And it reminds me of, and this is an anecdote that I've said, I can't tell that anecdote. I can't, because I think that would spoil the movie. I'm not going to tell it. Anyway, what this movie does and captures so well is this feeling of companionship from the dog's perspective, and this love and not dependence on, but this love and affection that this dog has toward his owner, towards Todd. And what it also does in a very clever way is it showcases what the animal feels when the human it's not that he's not reciprocating the love and affection and everything, but when he's in a position where he can't be affectionate or can't take like the affection that the dog is giving him. So like that's not what the whole movie is or anything. The movie is the dog is hearing things and sees ghosts and everything, or sees these entities and is trying to protect his owner. Like that's what the movie is. But there are these moments where, like, there was that, like, oh my God, I might tear up a little bit. There was this incredible moment where the dog has been left alone during the day, and he is wandering around the house like dogs do, and he is basically traumatized by he's definitely traumatized by the entity that's in the house. And when the owner comes home, he has his own stuff going on. Like Todd, the owner, he has his own stuff. He's dealing with his own things. And when the dog goes to him to try to, like, it's coming from a point of, from the dog's perspective, we're inferring from it that, oh yes, I'm like me, Indy, the dog, I have been traumatized. I'm terrified. Please comfort me. And since Todd, the owner, has been going through hell himself and isn't in a place to really comfort him, he doesn't read it as comforting him. He just sees it as like his dog being attached to him. And he's like, go away, and like kind of shoves him away a little bit and gets a little bit angry toward him. And like just the tragedy of that, the sadness of that is so rich and so deep, and I kind of hated it for it a little bit. I hated the movie for that reason, just a little bit, because like that pain is just so visceral in that moment, and it's a very human feeling. It's a very human experience, a very human, completely normal situation in terms of being in the supernatural scenario that the characters find themselves in. It's something that is, like, aside from the horror aspects of it, it's that deep, rich drama that really held my attention throughout this movie. And it doesn't stop there. Like, it goes to some places that I feel like the ending, the way that the ending comes about, like, it's clear that the movie is making a very, very specific statement, a very specific statement about humans and dogs and their bond and man's best friend and everything. It's making a very specific statement, and I do wish that the movie had made that statement a little bit harder, because I understand what the movie's saying, I understand what the movie is doing, but I just feel like it doesn't hammer it home quite as hard as I think that the emotional aspect of it should have hit for me. But having said that, in a vague, non-spoiler way, having said that, I was still thinking about this movie for days afterwards. And that's not even to say that I was talking, like, I was thinking of, like, oh, the scares and the entities and stuff, which I haven't even really talked about all that much. Instead, what I'm thinking about is what this dog went through in this movie. And I'm going to sound insane, but that dog deserves an Oscar. Like Indy the dog gives such an incredible performance in this movie. There's a shot where he's looking under a dresser, and he sees something like an entity, some like supernatural being, and he pulls himself out from it, or he is pulled out from under it. I'm not sure which one, but something happens to where he, jumps. It's a start. He runs into the bedroom, and I don't know what kind of, special effects work was done there, but I swear to God, you can see the complete terror in that dog's face. And it reminds me of, and this is a little personal and everything, but it reminded me of back in 2016 when my dad was on his deathbed, when he was dying. I remember, like, one of the, I mean, that was obviously one of the worst times of my entire life, but one of the things I remember so vividly about that, like, this is a week and a half into a 2-week ordeal where my dad was in in-home hospice care, had nurses come in and everything. He was at the end of his life, and this is a week and a half or almost 2 weeks into the 2 weeks that led to him passing away peacefully. One of my parents' dogs, Toby, he was a little Yorkie. And like, there was like a few days before my dad passed away, there was a moment where, like, we were all just obviously distraught and everything, but we were all just kind of sitting there in the living room and sitting on the couch, and like Toby was laying down right next to me, and I swear to God he was crying, like tearing up, like crying, like his actual, like not whining, not like howling in sadness or anything, but like legitimately, like it was like he had like human tear ducts and tears were coming out of his eyeballs. Very, very sad, but that kind of level of connection that a pet has with their owner is something that I think is something that is captured on film frequently, but rarely done as well as it is in Good Boy. And what I mean by that is that when it's captured on film, when it's depicted in film, a lot of times it is a sappy kind of emotionally driven, feel good, feel bad sort of journey that feels very much like it is, like that's the story it's telling. That's the style that it's going for. That's the point of the movie. And that's great. That works for people. There's audiences for movies like Marley and Me and other movies like that. I'm not disputing that or denigrating that in any capacity, but this movie, Good Boy, does that in such a just not effortless, but natural way, showing that just natural companionship and showing it through the perspective of the dog is just incredibly well done, well crafted. Throughout most of the movie, any human, like their faces are kind of obscured because we're in the point of view of the dog. And there's this interesting kind of camera trickery that, or blocking that happens where we don't really see the faces of the humans until like a couple of times. There are a couple of times where faces are more prominent, and those are in very impactful moments and very serious, dramatic moments. And I think that is such a smart and well done, such a well done way to kind of give that subtext of the companionship and everything, like holding it back and then bringing it forward that way is just it's fantastic. It's fantastic. As far as the entities and the supernatural elements of this, I'm going to be careful because I don't want to spoil anything, but far and away, like 100 times better than Presence. If you saw Presence and if you saw or read or listened to my review of it on the podcast, I had some problems with the kind of obviousness with which the explanation of the entity in Presence was kind of explained. And that's kind of on me. That's my thing. But it rubbed me the wrong way because it's such an interesting movie that kind of just doesn't go as well, doesn't stick the landing. And while Good Boy doesn't stick the landing emotionally as well as it could have, it stuck the landing of the point of the movie really, really well in a way that made me think about it for days after and kind of get a little teary-eyed just thinking about the big picture of it. And it was so much so that when I went on Letterboxd and looked at like some of my friends' reviews of it or my friends' ratings of it, I was a little disappointed. Like I feel like there was a lot of people that rated it maybe like 2.5, 3 stars, and that's fine. But I like reading some of the blurbs from my friends. I feel like that, like I just feel like I want to impress upon them that they should really watch it again, because of that kind of those final moments. The final moments of this movie just bring it all together in such a, I don't want to say profound way, but in a way that just feels like it is a complete statement about this relationship between Indy and his owner. And again, the performance from the dog is incredible. I know that the writer, director of the movie, I can't remember his name offhand. Ben Leonberg, it's his dog. And throughout the entire movie, I kept thinking I kept thinking, oh man, like obviously, like maybe it's not as strong a performance because obviously like he's playing himself and it's his dog, but Todd is not played by by the director, by Ben Leonberg. The Todd is played by Shane Jensen, who I don't know, like just the performance that he gives and the camaraderie and the companionship that he and Indy share in the movie. I was so certain that he was that character was being played by the owner of the dog in real life, but he wasn't. And but yeah, I really loved it. So the horrifying stuff, the horror elements of it were scary. The way that the movie depicts these just entities in this movie and the way that they kind of torment this dog is really it's a level of fear that I was kind of expecting it because I knew it was from the point of view of the dog, but it's from a perspective that it makes it more scary because the perspective being from the dog means that the character that's being tormented by these beings, by these entities, by these things is much more vulnerable than any human could be. And I think that that's kind of the secret sauce of the horror aspects of this movie. And I think that maybe some people might get a little over invested in that element of the movie, kind of similar to what I often say about Stephen King's work, where people that were adapting Stephen King back in the day were just adapting like the horror elements of it and neglecting the character stuff. I kind of feel like there might be a misread of this movie where people see it as like, oh, okay, it's cool. It's a dog's perspective. There's some haunting stuff going on, and that's the scary stuff. And then because they're focused on that, I'm not going to say that they're ignoring the drama aspect of it and the story between Todd and Indy, but I feel like maybe that is something that would overshadow it a little bit. That's my rationalization for why some people didn't take to it the way that I did, because I latched on to that. I latched on to that so hard by the end of the movie that I was just so taken with it. So that is about all I can say in non-spoilers about Good Boy, and I don't want to spoil it, so go watch it. It is on Shudder right now. I think it's great. I think it is really, really great. It's fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. Go check it out. And I don't know, I ended up rating it, like I said, 4 stars on Letterboxd. I'm close to giving it like 4.5 stars. Like it's kind of that good. It's kind of that good. It's really strong. It might make my top 10. It probably won't, but I think it is a very, very strong contender for an honorable mention for sure. But that's Good Boy. It is streaming on Shudder. Go check it out and let me know what you thought. Fantastic movie. So that is it for the secondary review. And I keep looking at the time, and this is a shorter episode than usually, but, as far. Oh, okay. So, okay. I will do a potpourri section, to wind down the podcast. Of course, if this is your first time watching or listening, Potpourri is the section of the podcast where we kind of wind things down and we talk about things that we're looking forward to, things that we've watched, things that we're looking forward to, whatever we want, as long as it smells good. It's the Potpourri section. So, before we get into Potpourri, I'm going to read this message that I got from Tiny after he left the call here. So here we go. This is Tiny's Potpourri section for Obsessive Viewer episode 495. He said, "Sorry I couldn't stick around for Potpourri. If you want to let the fans know my entries, they are as follows. I'm really looking forward to the final season of Stranger Things in a few days. They obviously took their time with it. I hope that's a good indicator that the ending will be worth the wait. Something cool I watched recently was the Eddie Murphy documentary on Netflix called Being Eddie. I was pleasantly surprised to see how down-to-earth he is. His career has been a fascinating one, and his candor about it was really refreshing. That's it for me. Happy obsessive viewing, everyone. Okay, now I'm going to shit on his potpourri section since he's not here. I am just kidding. I will say though, I'm like, Stranger Things, the final season starts this week. I am curious about it. I'm gonna watch it, obviously. But I'm curious about it, and it's something that I just kind of feel like that last season, I just like my interest in Stranger Things was waning considerably. And I do like the way that it left things for like bringing us into the finale, and into the final season. I think that that's a strong place to go into the final season, but I'm curious how I'm going to react to it. So we'll see, but that starts this week on Netflix, and I have nothing to say about Eddie Murphy because I didn't see that special that Tiny referenced, but yeah, I've always liked Eddie Murphy, so maybe I'll check that out. So thank you, Tiny, for your potpourri through Facebook Messenger. So so my potpourri, I've got 2 things I'm going to talk about. Maybe 3 things. Let me talk. Well, no, I'll do 2 things because the one thing I was going to say, which is going to turn into an actual thing. So yeah, 3 things. One is, I don't remember if I mentioned this last week, but I think I did, but I rewatched the final season of The Shield, even though I finished watching the entire series recently. Just, it's such an incredible show. I loved it so much. So that's the other thing that I wanted to say about The Shield. And then I just started rewatching The Wire, all while I should be watching it, Welcome to Derry and everything, so I apologize. But Paige in the chat has said that she says, I'm looking forward to the final season of Stranger Things. Really wanted to rewatch from the beginning first, but there's just not enough hours in the day for that to happen. Oh, I completely agree, especially when your time is so valuable and precious, especially when you have an idiot like me going on live, not knowing what he's doing, to talk about Wicked and everything. So, but yeah, no, I totally agree. And it's funny because that kind of dovetails into what I was saying about The Shield. Like, I don't really do that. And I mentioned this last week, but I don't really do that. I don't really go back and rewatch things, especially immediately after rewatching them again. And it's interesting because it does remind me of back when, like, I was a teenager or even in my early 20s when I had slightly less of a life than I have now. I would rewatch things constantly in the lead up to the final season or to the next season of shows. So like I developed like an encyclopedic knowledge of 24 as each season was coming out because I would just rewatch from the beginning until the premiere. Like I would finish a season as it aired, and then I would go back and in the lead up to the next season, I would go rewatch the entire series up to that point and then go in fresh for the new season. Like that was something I did so often. And I had nights, and this is very much telling of my social life in high school and in my early 20s, but I had the DVD box sets of Friends every single season. And I was a night owl, and I would stay up all night just watching the DVDs. I would watch an entire season over the course of a night. Yeah, and that's how I spent my weekends. So that is a little peek inside my weird brain. But to get to my actual potpourri sections, I've got 2 things to say. 2 things to talk about. One, I do wish Tiny was here for this. Tiny, if you're out there, hope you're watching. You're not. You're asleep. You should be going to sleep. But the first thing I want to talk about is the Timekeepers of Eternity. The Timekeepers of Eternity is this very interesting re-edit of the TV movie version of The Langoliers from Tom Holland. So this is a 1 hour long re-edit of The Langoliers that basically takes everything superfluous out of the story completely. So it is a very streamlined thing. It's an hour and 4 minutes. It was made by Aristoteles Meragas. I'm butchering that. I apologize so much. But what this filmmaker did was created this pseudo animated style retelling of Langoliers that was through the use of paper in terms of animation. What I understand of it is that he took frames of the movie frame by frame and added paper to them. So the effect that comes out of it is mind-blowingly just amazing. So there are moments where a character is freaking out or is saying something in a very like anxiety-filled tone. The character of Toomey, Bronson Pinchot, Craig Toomey, he's having like a mental breakdown throughout the course of the story. And he has these moments where he is remembering like his father being very abusive toward him and being very aggressive. And like, that's what created in him this idea of the Langoliers and everything. So what the original movie does, from what I remember, is it's just a shot, reverse shot, or shot like flashback to like him as a kid being berated by his father. But with this re-edit, with this paper kind of animation thing, it's in this monochromatic black and white filter throughout it, that the paper does this thing where when Toomey is yelling at someone and remembering something that happened in his childhood with his father, the paper would open, like the screen would open, like if you're watching the video version of this, the paper would be like this, and then it covering his face, and then it would open, and in between the hands, where my hands are in the video portion of this, would be a scene from when he was a kid, like the kid version of him or his father. And also when he's freaking out and stuff, the paper would ripple out and throughout over his head, and it's like this fuming sort of thing, this like very aggressive visual depiction of him losing his sanity. And it is so freaking cool. And in addition to that, they're able to get around doing different edits and stuff by having, like, the characters are in like an airport terminal. They're talking to each other. They're having a very heated debate and everything. And instead of just cutting from the characters on one side to the characters on the other side, instead of doing that, they basically just open up the pages, or open up the crinkled up pages, and show the characters on the other side instead of doing shot, reverse shot. It's very cool, very effective. And the best thing about it, in addition to just completely reimagining and streamlining the entire story, the best thing about it is that it finds a way to completely make the actual like visual effects of the Langoliers not look like horribly dated things. Like, that's the most notorious thing about the Langoliers, is that the visual effects were god awful. And in this edit of it, it just has crumpled up pages, and it's so haunting and honestly terrifying. It's really, really cool. It's amazing. I need to update my Stephen King adaptations list, because I rated this 5 stars. It's so freaking cool. It's the Timekeepers of Eternity. I do believe that it is available in its entirety on YouTube. It was on Vimeo for a while. It might still be on Vimeo. But go seek it out. If I find it, I'll put a link in the show notes after the fact. But it's also interesting because The Langoliers has a very, very, very soft spot in my heart, because I love that novella. It's from the 4 Past Midnight collection. That novella is stunning. It is fantastic because that novella, that collection rather, the four novellas in that collection, it's 4 Past Midnight is like the more horror minded sister of Different Seasons. Different Seasons was a very dramatic, very at times very intense and emotionally, like psychologically damaging collection of novellas. 4 Past Midnight is out and out horror in terms of the novellas in that collection. And The Langoliers holds a special place in my heart because it is heavily inspired by one of my all-time favorite Twilight Zone episodes, The Odyssey of Flight 33. In that episode, it's a commercial airline flight that is suddenly experiences some turbulence, finds that they have gone through a time warp thing, and they are just flying into a different time. And they try to reverse it. They try to go back through where they experience the turbulence, and they can't seem to get to the point where they need to be. And it's very, very much the inspiration for The Langoliers. In fact, the novella The Langoliers actually references that episode of The Twilight Zone. But The Langoliers is similar. A red-eye flight. People wake up and find that most of the cabin, most of the souls on board have completely disappeared. And then from there, horror, crazy stuff happens. Really great stuff. I recommend reading The Langoliers and also watching The Timekeepers of Eternity. Fantastic. And to round out Potpourri, I'm going to share my thoughts on Keeper, which I was going to review this week. Actually, I was going to review it last week. My plan was to review Keeper and Good Boy last week, but time got away from me. I ran out of time, so I'm going to just do a brief review of Keeper to round out Potpourri. So if you're still hanging in there, thank you for hanging in there with me. But to round out Potpourri, Keeper is the new film from Osgood Perkins, written by Nick Leppard, directed by Osgood Perkins. The plot summary, courtesy of IMDb, is a romantic anniversary trip to a secluded cabin turns sinister when a dark presence reveals itself, forcing a couple to confront the property's haunting past. This is a body horror, folk horror movie. It was released in theaters a couple of weeks ago. The release date was November 14th. So yeah, like a week or two ago. And I'm a fan of Oz Perkins. Obviously he did the Monkey earlier this year, which I really liked. Another Stephen King adaptation that I thought was really fantastic. In fact, I love that like Neon has been releasing movies. Like Neon, I actually got my as a critic, I get the Neon Bible. It's a physical collection of all of the movies for awards consideration from Neon. And I love that. I actually got this today. I love getting this every year, so not to flex. But what I love about it this year is that Neon has released a lot of horror movies, some that aren't that good, like Hell of a Summer and Shelby Oaks, but they also have 2 Oz Perkins movies, The Monkey and Keeper, and they also have 2 Stephen King adaptations that I think are very high quality Stephen King adaptations. So they have The Monkey, and of course, my current frontrunner for movie of the year, The Life of Chuck from Mike Flanagan. So I love that. Having said that, I loved The Monkey, and I really liked Longlegs last year. So going into Keeper, I was excited, but this movie did not do it for me. The movie stars, by the way, Tatiana Maslany and Rossif Sutherland. It just really felt like a half-baked story or a half-baked script. And in doing that, like there's a level to it that I found kind of interesting with the relationship dynamics. Like Tatiana Maslany is a character who is in this relationship with this man who they've been together for a year, and he's taking her to this kind of secluded cabin in the woods place where his cousin lives across the street, and his cousin is very eccentric and weird. And there's references to a housekeeper that that kind of just shows up or leaves behind a cake. It's very weird and strange. And what the movie does relatively well is capture that folk horror sort of atmosphere, but that's only in brief moments. That's only in brief segments throughout the movie, because the rest of the movie is just this meandering sort of expectation of horror. And I feel like it's something that is really not of the caliber that I know that Oz Perkins is capable of, because there are these like weird little idiosyncrasies that happen throughout this movie that just, it feels like the movie is trying to over explain it, which is kind of a hallmark of Oz Perkins at this point, because obviously Longlegs, like the last act of Longlegs, is very much a just kind of over explaining exposition dump, and just not really wanting to like holding the audience's hands basically throughout the end of Longlegs. And there's a lot of that in Keeper, especially in the third act. Like there is the problem that I have with it is that the tension isn't sustained throughout it. And when we get the explanation of all the weird stuff that's going on, it comes in the way of just a multiple minute flashback over explaining scenario where a character is explaining to another character basically what's going on, and explaining point blank, like, oh, this is what's happening. When this happened in the past, and then that caused this to happen. And it's like a point by point thing that's not dressed up in really any way. It's not dressed up in any kind of tension release. It's not dressed up in any kind of tension building. It's kind of a big nothing. And it's to the point where if I were to say at the beginning of the movie, if I were to go back to the beginning of the movie, I would have never guessed where the movie ends up, like what the movie ends up being. But when it happens in the movie, I could not care any less, because the movie did not guide me there in a satisfactory way. So even though it's something that I never really considered or never really thought about, or considered being a possibility, it still landed with a thud because I was not invested in the movie. And what the movie tries to do, and is kind of admirable for trying it, but what tries and fails to do is it tries to do this thing where it's trying to build out this relationship drama between these two characters. And again, that is just all through dialogue that's not subtle or not dressed up in any way. It's like, well, we haven't really talked about having kids or anything, and like, oh, do you really know who he is or whatever? Like, Tatiana Maslany has a friend who we see only through FaceTime, who is convinced for no reason that the man that what was his name? The man in the movie, Malcolm, has like a secret family, and has like a secret family that he goes off to see. Completely baseless accusation. And when the movie tries to pivot to a point where it's trying to kind of get us to buy into that, or buy into him having some kind of secret, it's done in such a way that it just feels like, okay, well, we don't see really the evidence of the possibility of him having a secret family and everything, or hiding these secrets from Tatiana Maslany. But the movie wants us to just put together these things. But the things that we're putting together are just dialogue that another character has told to Tatiana Maslany. Like, in that dialogue is, hey, I think this guy has a secret family. And when the reveal happens, it's supposed to lead us to a conclusion that is not subtly planted in our brains at all. It's just hammered into us by this dialogue that is like first draft dialogue. It's so unsubtle and it's not effective storytelling. And it's such a shame because I think Oz Perkins has a lot of talent with telling stories in unique and interesting ways. Point being, Longlegs, even though that did get expository and did get kind of flutter a little bit at the end, it's still a very well told story. And still a very compelling story at that. It's so weird to see Oz Perkins kind of just have this much of a dud, especially coming off of The Monkey, which I thought was such an interesting, unique movie. So, those are my thoughts on Keeper, and I'm going to keeper you guys here not much longer because that is going to be the end of the episode. So if you watched in the live stream at all, thank you. I like both pages were in the live stream, both Tiny's page and the Obsessive Viewers page. So thank you, Paige, if you're still there. Appreciate you watching along. Yeah, we'll do more of these live streams and I'll get more of the hang of it and everything. And in the weeks to come and everything. But for now, I do want to say that that's it for this week's episode of The Obsessive Viewer. As always, thank you so much for listening, and make sure to follow the show on social media. And on social media, let me lower this volume. Okay, yeah. Follow the show on social media and rate and subscribe to it on your preferred podcast app. Also, check out our other shows, Obsessive Viewer podcasts, other shows, Tower Junkies, and Anthology. Next week on the show, the plan is to review Eternity and probably Train Dreams. We'll see. But until then, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. Oh, okay. That is it for this episode. Thank you to everyone watching the live stream. Everyone, Paige is already gone, and I don't think anyone is in the YouTube. So I'm going to stop this live stream. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Exciting podcast talk.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. I watched a movie for the first time in a while.
Nice.
Yeah, Paige was at a friend's house, and so I stayed home with the kiddo, and she went to bed, and I turned on Weapons on HBO.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I'll be talking about it at the end of the year, if you know what I'm saying.
Very nice. I do know what you're saying.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really good, super awesome. I mean,
that's awesome.
I forgot the what's the director's name?
Oh my God, Zach Cregger. Yeah.
Zach Cregger. Yeah. Yeah, good dude.
Yeah. Oh
good
yeah.
Dude. Yeah. No, his yeah, what son of a bitch, his other movie that was big.
Oh yeah, Barbarian.
Right. Like huge, not a huge, but like a noticeable step up from that. Like like not like Barbarian was a piece of crap or anything, but just you can clearly see his growth as a filmmaker, as both a writer
totally
and a director. Like you can totally just see his growth on screen. So that's what I was super thrilled about, and like he's gonna be a big deal, I think.
No, absolutely. Paige said solid choice. Why?
Thanks, babe.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't call each other babe.
No, Paige. No, it's not your Paige. I'm so sorry.
Oh. Well, I can call her babe. That's fine.
We can't be canceled. I'm so sorry. I needed to really make sure that we're clear on that. It's Paige St. Laurent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Friend of the show.
Yes.
For
At
all
least
the listeners,
until just a couple minutes ago.
Right. For all the listeners, my wife is also named Paige.
Yes.
So yeah, and she would join this totally just to see how goofy I am. So I thought you were talking about her.
Yeah, I really should have made that more clear. I'm so sorry. Anyway, she has a laugh emoji in the chat, so I think we're safe from litigation.
Okay.
So my last ditch.
Tell me I view obsessively.